What would you say to somebody who's coming across your work for the first time?
Mouth breathing is a disaster for your health. 11 years ago, when all of my respiratory problems that I had quite a few, suddenly went away once I learned how to breathe properly.
How much truth actually is there in mewing, and is it just something that silly, insecure teenagers do?
It is not important for young kids to mew. It's important for young kids to have proper oral posture. These are two completely different things. You will never resolve anxiety unless you get control of your breathing. When you're constantly over-breathing, you're sending your brain signals that you are stressed out, and then your brain reacts by having you breathe too much. Learning how to breathe deep and slowly through your nose can really transform your health.
I think people have 100% caught on to the physical health benefits. It's almost like one of those things that's a given now. The way other things in science would be like get your greens in. It's just about maybe even access to having an ice bath. But that's sort of all on the physical health side. And you talk in the book a lot about mental health, anxiety, how certain breath exercises can help with that. So could you tell us what can be done for mental health, where the limits of it are, and what specific practices in breathwork maybe help there?
I heard this from a psychologist a few years ago, and he told me, he said, you will never resolve anxiety unless you get control of your breathing, ever. You can take whatever drugs you want, go to as many vacations or many classes as you want. You will never, ever figure it out. And I'm starting to believe him. I'm starting to think that that's really true. And I believe him now because if you look at people who have chronic anxiety or panic disorders, they almost always are over-breathing, sometimes twice as much as they should be. Their carbon dioxide levels are very low in their exhaled breath because they often are mouth breathing. So they're completely disconnected from their breath. And if you look on the flip side of that, of what happens when you allow these people to control their breathing, to breathe slowly, to breathe softly, rhythmically, in and out of the nose, their CO2 levels go up and they feel the sense of calm. And this is not a placebo effect. This is biology. The reason is when you're constantly over-breathing, you're sending your brain signals that you are stressed out. And then your brain reacts by having you breathe too much. So this is our stress reaction. We breathe too much, we hold our breath, we breathe too much. And these people are caught in this vicious cycle of constantly over-breathing, being stressed so they're breathing back again and just over and over. And what I think is fascinating and also really depressing is almost none of these people are told that their symptoms can be significantly reduced by controlling their breath. And I think that that's an incredible disservice to a bunch of people who are in a bunch of pain.
You mentioned from the overbreathing that their carbon dioxide becomes very low. For somebody who hasn't read your book, I think that might ring not quite right from what you learn as you're growing up, that you're trying to expel carbon dioxide. So why did you say that? Why is it good to have high carbon dioxide?
So of course, with every exhale, we are expelling carbon dioxide. That's how it works. Oxygen in, CO2 out. We're supposed to have a certain amount of carbon dioxide in our exhalations, around 5.5% CO2 in our exhalations. When you breathe too much, you start offloading too much CO2. Okay. So when you're offloading too much CO2 from your body, without that CO2, blood vessels start constricting. And this is why if right now you were to overbreathe, you're going to feel some tingling in your hands and some lightness in your head, right? You're going to feel a little dizzy. This is not from an increase of oxygen, but a decrease of circulation. Because without that CO2, you get this constriction. And so these people who are constantly over-breathing, their CO2 levels go down because they're just breathing too much of it out too quickly. And when that happens, they start to feel dizzy. and their fingers and hands and feet are cold and they're irritable. And if you talk to people with anxiety and panic, this is exactly how they feel all the time. And people just aren't talking about the direct connection of their breathing patterns to these conditions.
It's just linking that now back to the mouth breathing. Am I wrong in thinking that nasal breathing also helps with anxiety, or are the two not very linked?
It can help tremendously with anxiety. Right now, if we are mouth breathing, how hard is it to breathe very, very quickly? It's very easy to do that, to be over breathing, because there's no buffer there. The air just comes in, right?
Sure.
There's no filter. Now try to do that nasal breathing. It's extremely hard to hyperventilate when you're nasal breathing. The reason is we have all of these different structures. It looks like a seashell if you were to look at a deli slicer view of our heads. And these different structures buffer this air. And they make it so that air is forced to take more time, to go more slowly. And this forces you to breathe more rhythmically, right? So that slower air that's coming in, that rhythmic breathing, calms the nervous system down. And if anyone is apprehensive about this, look at heart rate variability within 30 seconds of breathing very slowly, very calmly. And you see it just go through the roof, because this is your heart rate and your nervous system is responding to the way in which you're breathing. You're telling your body and your brain that you are safe, that you are in control. So it's able to go about its business instead of taking care of the emergency at hand.
I know also that which nostril you breathe out of can have a profound effect on whether it's stimulating you, waking you up, making you more anxious or not. And that seems like a crazy idea to me, because it's almost like two sides of the same coin. Which nostril should we be breathing out of to calm ourselves down? And how does this work?
Well, you should be breathing out of both of them. So I really don't want to see people mewing and going around just plugging up one nostril. That would be a disaster. Don't do that, children. Bad for you. So our bodies know what to do. Okay. Every 30 minutes to 3 to 4 hours, your nostrils will shift from being primarily taking air in from one side to the other. And sometimes they're both open at the same time. They're constantly shifting throughout the day. Why would we evolve to do this? Well, some people believe this is the way for our bodies to help regulate our emotions, our nervous system function, our oxygen, the heat in our bodies, and more. The reason that people say this, and there's been about 24 studies to show the difference between left nostril and right nostril, is because the ancients believed that the left nostril, breathing in and out of the left nostril, was very calming for the nervous system. Okay, this is the moon side of where you are relaxing the body. Breathing out through the right is also very calming, but inhaling through the right is very activating. This is the sun side, the side that is heating the body up, that is increasing blood pressure. So you could say, cool, the ancients were interesting, but can we test this? And the answer is yes. So it turns out in the tests that have been done, all of that lines up. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up when you inhale through the right nostril. When you exhale and inhale through the left nostril, the opposite happens. Heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down, your body cools itself down. So our bodies automatically do this, but you can hack it through something called alternate nostril breathing, which has been around for thousands of years as well. A lot of people know this in yoga. It works really, really well. And the science and data is there to prove it. So at any time you're feeling stressed out, you can just hack these different nostrils, these breaths that are going in and out, and you can definitely feel the effects from it. At least I can. There are a bunch of different ways of doing this. I don't know if we want to get into it on this podcast. I'm happy to show you one, but otherwise people can look them up online or whatever.
Ever shown up to the beach with a big bush, getting rejected left, right and center, so you have to walk away with your pubes between your legs? Then get yourself a Manscaped and rule the beach. Wear your shorts with no shame. Get the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra now with a discount code LOAF to get a full 20% off, so that your baguette leaves no crumbs.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the clip from that episode. If you'd like to check out the full interview with James Nestor, you can click right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments below.